I call to order the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Aransas Pass, March 4th, 2019, at 6:01. Let's all rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Dear Father, thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for the blessings, my Father, that you have bestowed upon us. Thank you for the country that we live in and the freedom that we enjoy, my Father. We ask, my Father, that you be with us, the City Council, our City Manager, Department Heads, that we do the right thing for the City of Aransas Pass, knowing all the issues and things that are confronting us. We ask your guidance upon us, that we make the right decisions for our citizens. This we ask in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to deviate a little bit off the agenda, and we're going to go to the consent agenda. All of the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the City Council member so requests. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we're going to go into executive session, section 551.071 of the Texas Open Meeting Act, to meet with his attorney to seek legal advice on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the City Council under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of the Texas clearly conflicts with the Texas Open Meeting Act relating to the City of Aransas Pass versus J.M. Davidson Ltd. RLI Insurance Company and Naismith Engineering, cause number S-14-6278-CV-C in the 343rd Judicial District Court in San Patricio County, Texas.
And the time is
6:03. We'll be right back. Okay, we're gonna reconvene open session at 6:23 PM to take no action. And we're gonna go straight up back to board and commission appointments. And it's for the zoning board of adjustments.
Mr. Mayor and Council, as is stated in the memo that you see before you, zoning board of adjustment, one vacancy. For an alternate member, Michael Schultz has submitted his application for consideration, for your consideration. Staff recommends appointment of Mr. Schultz, if council agrees.
I make a motion that we appoint Mike Schultz to the Planning Zone or Zoning Board of Adjustments.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we're gonna go to the city manager.
Several items, Mr. Mayor and council members. First item is the creation of the Census Complete Count Committee. You received a report from a member of the U.S. Census Bureau at a recent work session. And the purpose of this committee is stated in the memo, but it pretty much encourages everyone to get out to be counted. That's the purpose of this committee. It'll be a local committee, and then we'll be working with the Census Bureau on materials and methods for accomplishing that goal. The purpose today is to simply ask if you agree that a committee should be set up for that purpose.
Favor of the council?
Well, I make a motion, we approve resolution 2019-880, creating the 2020 Census Complete Count Committee.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor and Council, next item is your direction as far as resolution in support of legislation proposed by the San Patricio Municipal Water District. You received a report in that same work session I referred to earlier from Mr. Brian Williams concerning the proposed legislation. He is here today if you have any additional questions. There were a number of questions during the work session. And you're being asked to act on the proposed resolution, and so I will turn it over to you for discussion. And as I said, Mr. Williams is here also.
I would like to table this. We're actually going to take a tour of the Tampa desal plant on Friday, and that should give me more information. And I also have information on the desal plant in California. But I don't think we have enough information to be able to vote on this. That's my personal opinion.
I agree. I agree. We need to know the impact of the fisheries.
Exactly. And he
Okay.
did send me information from Texas A&M and stuff like that, and I read through it, but it didn't answer the questions. Yeah, you're like, step up.
Yes, yes.
Not trying to change your mind, but just a little more information. I guess what our legislation does, it just allows us to do some of the same things that cities and counties, the capabilities that they have as far as creating local government corporations, creating a public-private partnership, and allowing us to incur debt as far as other utilities such as wastewater goes. And Councilwoman Scruggs, I will say, this legislation, we're not anywhere, has nothing, well, I won't say it doesn't have anything to do with desal, but where we are in the desal process, where we're working with some of our local industries looking at desal, we're not going to be in a position to go through the science. We haven't selected a site yet at this point, so we haven't gone through all the science and modeling that is required to give you the information that you said you're looking for, what it's going to be doing to fisheries. We're several months down the road on that, so we're not at that point. We're just looking for this legislation right now, not trying to get a decision on desal. That's very premature to where we're at right now. I just want to make that point.
Okay,
So,
okay. still in agreement with Jan.
So you can't wait till our next council meeting where
No,
we have
I
a lot
can.
more
I
information?
can, but I guess I was just trying to say that we're not gonna have that background information. We won't have gone through all the sites for us. We haven't picked a site yet. So we won't have some of the background information
Right.
that maybe I kinda understood, and maybe I misunderstood that Councilwoman Scruggs was mentioning.
Can you give, just for the sake of our audience that wasn't here at the workshop, give us just a nutshell of what you're proposing with this
Sure.
ordinance right
I'd be
here?
I'd be glad to. What San Patricio Municipal Water District is proposing is some legislation. We were created in 1951 by the 52nd State Legislature, so we've been providing water service to several, seven good-sized cities here in San Patricio County for almost 70 years. But as things have changed, I guess the local government code has changed. It's created some new opportunities for our districts. I guess we are proposing legislation that would allow us to create and to be an incorporating entity into a local government corporation. And that is something that cities, currently cities, counties, navigation districts, hospital districts have the capability of creating an entity that is a local government corporation. So that's one of the items that's in our legislation. We're also have in that legislation the ability to allow us to do a public-private partnership. Again, cities, counties have that capability of creating a public-private partnership. So the legislation would just allow us as a water district to do the same thing other governmental entities do, so that we can continue to provide the most cost-effective water service that we can for our citizens. It also allows us to incur debt for other utility services, clarifies that capability. Currently, we are a water district. We have been providing water service. We can incur debt on water service, but we're also looking at doing a regional wastewater reuse facility. In fact, Aransas Pass is part of that study. And this would just clarify our ability to incur debt if we move forward with something like a regional wastewater facility. So it just addresses those three things that other governmental entities can do, cities, counties. It just allows the water district as another entity to use those same tools that are out there available to other governmental entities. So that's what we're proposing in the legislation.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
So we are the council.
You tabling?
Yes,
Yeah.
I make a motion, we table it.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor and Council, the next item, if I can pull it up here, is an agreement with LJA Engineers for the Safe Routes to School grant. What they will do, if approved, will be to prepare the application as they did with the first Safe Routes to School grant, which we received. Their fee for doing this is a little over $8,600, and the school system has agreed to pay half of that, so they're partners with us on this. This route, the sidewalk, would go from Hogan Homes to the school campus, make connection with the part of the trail that stops right there on Avenue A, and we're also looking at going down DeBerry as part of this grant for additional connectivity with the sidewalks we have throughout town. But what this is for is agreeing to bring LJA on as the company that does the application for us. They did the first application for us. That is what is before you.
Have we asked Hogan Homes to pick up the remainder?
We have not, and I will,
And
that's a good point.
I think Trey would be very open to that because he wants safety for the kids.
That's a good, in fact, he's one of the first people, members of this body made the recommendation, and he did also. So that's a good point, and we will approach him.
Well, I'll make a motion that we, award the, go into agreement with LJA Engineering for safe routes to the school grant for $8,600, with the school district paying half of it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There's not gonna be no change orders in this one, is there?
There'll be 30 or 40. Other than that, there shouldn't be a problem.
We should be okay after that.
No, this is the old. Next item, Mr. Mayor and Council, the Aransas Pass project graduation, and this comes up every year, as you know, and the request is for a certain amount of money. You see there, $10,000. What we did last year, and correct me if I'm wrong, City Secretary, but last year I think we did some easing of cost at the aquatic center, I believe. That's what we did last year. This year, there's a specific amount being requested, as may or may not have been the case in previous years. Okay, but that's what's before you now, is a $10,000. And that's for your consideration. As it says, as is pointed out there, and in 2016 and 17, the council contributed $5,000 and waived the fees at the aquatic center. And last year, as we said, the fees are what were waived, and there's no staff recommendation on this. This is up to you.
And this has to come from the general fund.
Oh, it comes from the general fund,
Has to come from
absolutely.
general fund,
Yes.
which has no money.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Haley, I know you're here. Can you come up and tell us, how much y'all have received in donations so far?
Well, as a nonprofit organization, we're still feeling the effects of Hurricane Harvey. Our residents and our businesses are donating less than what they have in the past, and I have many of them that are unable to donate. And at the same time, we're trying to provide these graduates with a fun, alcohol-free, safe event to give them the opportunity to celebrate in this great accomplishment of graduating high school. And we mostly ran on donations for the last couple of years. I've added in some fundraisers, and so we are sitting at about $6,000. I don't have the exact number, I'm sorry, I meant to look. It's been a crazy Monday as a school teacher as well, so I apologize for that. But we do have about $6,000, and we sent out donor letters in October, got a little bit in. We're trying to send out some more coming up as a spring. I think they're going out next week, as a matter of fact. And I know it's just been rough around everywhere, and we're all feeling it. So we're just hoping to, anything we can get. And we didn't ask for the pool at this time because we're still trying to see what we can do, and we've always been grateful for that, to provide the kids with that place to go.
I know this is a tough decision for us as a city, because we are still having so many projects that we still have not accomplished and still working on. And as much as I hate this, and I know that I will contribute myself personally to the project graduation, as I did last year, at this time, I would say we're not able to grant the request for the $10,000, because we just have so much that we still need to take care of. So with regret, I make that motion.
I think it's important. Go ahead.
Kit, and I don't know how to say it in a nice way, but anything possible, someone asked me, what is that amount for? And as I sat down to write this letter, I honestly couldn't put a price tag on a graduate's life. And I said, I heard this was the most, so I'm gonna, ask for the most I can, because I have about 90% of the graduates, attend, and I'm saving all those lives. We're saving those lives, keeping them safe, and I believe that's money well spent. So, if there's anything we can find anywhere, appreciate it, and totally understand, we are having all feeling this at this time. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, is it important at this time to say that, the $10,000, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I could probably be very wrong on this, but the $10,000 that we agreed to give to Rock the Dock and Vets Fishing with Vets, that comes from
That's hot
hot
money.
taxes.
Those are hot dollars. yes.
And so by putting the heads in the beds and bringing people into town, the
That's what
hot
it's for.
taxes are recouped through that.
That is correct.
So we get that donated money back from the taxes. I absolutely agree. You know, I used to run Project Graduation, so this is a very difficult, that's a lot of money that we didn't have in 2018. And I know before 2016, being the head of Project Graduation, we did not receive any monies from the city. All we received from the city was the donation of the pool.
And we were thinking, we have a larger group graduating this year, and every year they do have their families coming into town, staying at our hotels, you know, using our businesses here for the day, for the weekend. Maybe that can, you know, help us out.
What is the normal cost at a yearly thing that, like, in other words, what was the total cost last year that y'all actually spent?
We tried to have at least $15,000.
I don't think that was the question. What did you, yeah,
How much we
Uh,
spent?
We spent over $15,000.
and what
last
was
year.
that spent on?
We provide food and an event for them, entertainment, and prizes for them to, and when I say prizes, I mean items that will help them if they go off to college, if they're going into a job, and just keeping them. My goal is to find something that keeps them all together. It's like a lock-in type event, so they're not out driving on the streets.
Absolutely.
And we've been kind of using it, you know, they are going home with great prizes, and it's amazing because the kids are like, man, this is better than Christmas. But at the same time, you know, my goal is to compete with technology nowadays. And when I first started 6 years ago, we were playing bingo, and the kids were fine with that. Over the few years, they're like, well, you know, so I'm trying to stay up to date and providing them a place they want to come to and stay with me all night, so they're not out on the streets.
I need a motion. I need a motion, somebody needs to, or does it die because of the
Well,
second?
I'll second the motion. We can afford it.
No, it takes it away from the infrastructure and
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah.
Being,
What about the waiving of the fees? Is that?
yeah, we can waive the fees. If
Okay.
they want to use the aquatic center.
Yeah.
You wanna put that in the motion?
Sure, I can make the motion
What-
that, you
But,
know-
but that's not, but they're not making that, they're not requesting that at this time. They can come back and request that.
Okay.
And well, then I second Vicky's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
I object.
Okay, now we're gonna go to, community enrichment.
No, we have some more items
The
here.
Aquatic Center parking lot one.
The next item is, this is a change order, and change order number 2 with the Division 16 Construction Pelican Cove Repairs, $9,800. And the reason for this is there have been discussions with the property owners, and the equipment that I understand that we agreed to, and everybody agreed to, there is a higher price tag for those items. Consequently, there's an increase because of that. And again, this is not something that was done unilaterally. It's following discussions that were held with the city, with the property owners, and the contractor, as well as the engineer. So it involved all those people. Juan Hernandez with Division 16 is here. If you have any questions, but want to give you that brief background, he can go into more detail if you need additional answers on that.
I think you need to take the rein on this one, because you've been working on that
Yeah.
project.
Okay, will this be the last one? Because this was a very small
Thank you very
project.
much. Yes, sir. We are about 90% complete with the project. We're about a week and a half from substantially completing the project. And this is one of those items that came in at the very end that needed to be addressed. And I don't foresee anything else stopping us from substantially completing this project in about a week's time.
Okay, because this has been actually a job that was a very small job, and it was kind of carried to where it actually cost them a little bit more when it should have been done the first time. And hopefully here in the future, when we do a small job like that, we can actually go out there and make the scope of a job one without any change orders. I'm just saying.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Because it's a very small job for us to have these change orders on it.
Yes, sir.
A motion?
Well, I'll make a motion, we approve change order number 2 with Division 16 construction for Pelican Cove repairs in the amount of $9,800.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
One more item, Mr. Mayor and Council. This came in Friday, just in time to get it into the packet. And the reason it's before you, and that is the request for a kayak meet and greet there in the Aquatic Center parking lot and the launching area there. It's going to be a very large event, and consequently, I think there even be a food vendor or something of that sort out there, some type of vendor. So for an event like this, wanted to make you aware of it, and because city facilities beyond just the launching point will be used, want to get your okay in moving forward with it. It'll be a good event, we believe, but because of the size of it and the unanticipated size of it, thought you should be aware of this. So that's the reason it's before you, and asking for your permission to move forward.
Justin, would you like to come up and tell us about it? Mr. Thomas, please come share your thoughts and ideas with the council.
Both of them.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you. Appreciate your time. My name is Dean Thomas. I own Slow Ride Guide Services and Kayak Rentals. We're planning a meet and greet kayak event. It's just kind of a get together. We have kayakers that will come from all over the state. Probably be in the range of 100 to 150 kayakers show up. We're gonna have little booths set up, just probably 3 or 4 small tents that are gonna be, the vendors are like fishing tournaments, people who wanna pass out data for future events. And we also have a food truck coming to sell snacks when everybody comes in. And so we just anticipate the parking lot and the kayak launch is there. It's after spring break, before school's out, so it's kind of a slow time of year. Shouldn't infringe on anybody else. If you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
What are the dates?
March 30th. And we'll start about daylight and probably wrap up around 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
How many people have you had in the past?
How many last year?
So at the first event that we had 2 years ago, we had about 40 people show up, and then we were using the old Aransas Queen grounds. We were just kind of going there, and then we decided to host a second event, which had about 70 people show up, and then we just kind of noticed the group getting larger and larger, and just everybody having a great time. So we decided to go for a third event, and then it's actually kind of passed our expectations, and now it's reached up to about 150 people with like
That's
690
awesome.
that are interested in coming also, on top of those 150.
Yeah, you had, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you had over 700 said that they would,
Yes.
were interested in
Well, they showed
coming,
an interest
so,
in it.
right,
Yeah, so-
okay. But 150 that said they were coming.
Yes.
Okay.
As again, we already have a food truck provided, and there are gonna be a few vendors there, and, we just wanna ensure that parking is gonna be, basically enough for people to park a trailer if need be, and then for our vendors just to securely be able to, park their trailers away from everybody else as well, to make sure nobody gets tampered with.
And may I point out, this group is not asking for any money. Yay! Yay!
Supply the porta potties too for the event. That way, they don't have to go anywhere and barge anything. And we're also willing to bring trash bags, clean up, and help make sure our launch sites are cleaner than what we left.
And the guys coming out of town might use, stay at the motels here, local businesses.
Absolutely.
We already have, as the rates on vacation rentals, we already have guys that are actually renting from the vacation rentals and actually renting kayaks from his business as we speak to get this event. So
That's
we're hoping
excellent.
we can make it
Excellent.
Okay.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we approve the Aquatic Center parking lot on March 30th, 2019, for the 3rd annual kayak meet and greet.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Here.
Now we go to the word I can't say. All right. We're gonna go to community enrichment. Okay, and we're gonna consider and act on change order number
Good evening,
7.
Mayor and Council. How are y'all? The first thing in front of you tonight from my department is going to be a no-cost change order that we need to look at. It is for the construction at the pool with Barcom, and if you look at the memo, it is they ordered a louver that they're putting in up top, and it took a little bit longer to make. So it's not going to jeopardize our opening date or anything like that. So I'm just asking you to go ahead and approve that no-cost change order to extend their time by, I think it's 11 days or 16 days.
So the change order is just to extend the date?
It's just to extend the days on their contract, yes, ma'am, by 16 days.
Okay.
Make a motion
Go ahead.
Thank you.
to approve the change order number 7 for the Aquatic Center to extend the contract 16 more days
Thank you.
At no fee.
with no money.
It's a no-cost change order.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next one is, okay, so the next is I'm asking you to act on a certificate of substantial. Sorry.
Mayor, City Council members, on that last item, if I can just get clarification, it's asking for an extra 16 days. Can we have the actual date of finalization?
Yes, so if you go, can you go on there, sorry?
Yes, no
It's
problem.
right. it's
March
the-
March 11th.
Yes, March 11th.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Never mind.
So this next one is for us to, this is a certificate of substantial completion submitted by LNV for the Civic Center project. So what was in the contract of the Civic Center and what's been completed, we walked through on the, on the 14th, and we did a punch list, but everything that was in the original contract, there's gonna be some change orders that come later, but in the original contract, we are very near completion. So they've asked us to sign a letter of substantial completion. And that's attached to that as well.
What change orders do you expect?
There's a few, but we just haven't worked them out with FEMA. Some stuff once they got into the project, some sound and some HVAC
okay.
and stuff like that.
Okay.
Which is gonna come later, but we're waiting to get,
Okay.
to see how we need to handle that. But everything that was included in the original scope of work
Has been completed.
Yeah, is substantially completed. You know, there's also a punch list included, but Fernando, myself, and Michael walked through on.
When you say substantially completed, what does that mean? That it's not
Yeah.
complete yet?
Well, there's a punch list, so you can go, I think it's
Did you
attached.
see the punch list?
Yeah, there's a punch list.
There is a punch list.
L&V's here if
What's-
you
Yeah,
have
and
any
Ellen,
questions.
be here if you have any questions about that.
So
Who's L&D?
should we issue a certificate of completion if it's not completed? I just-
Of substantial completion.
Substantial completion is,
Too funny.
they're 1% away from being 100%.
And that's what
And
they,
if there's change orders, are those change orders going to be a part of this original contract?
No.
Or are they going to be a new contract?
That would be a new contract.
That makes a difference.
Yeah, and one day we're gonna learn to have an engineer firm that doesn't have change orders, but very minimal, just like less than 10%. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I can just kind of add a little bit to what the certificate of substantial
back up. My name is Craig Forsyth. I'm the Director of Architecture for LNB. When we get towards the end of the project, we gave the original, or the contractor, 180 days to complete the project. He has done that, as Sarah Lee mentioned. All the contract items have been completed. We do the walkthrough. There's little touch-up items that need to be taken care of, and this is typical. What it allows you to do, what the substantial completion does, is it basically frees the owner to then use that complex. Of course, that's already been happening. So, it then, if there's any damages that are done, it's hard for us then to put that back on the contractor. So we want to go ahead and finalize the substantial completion so that he's clear. It also will free him up from any liquidated damages clauses, and start the warranties on that project.
So I want to make sure we're using the appropriate language. We were using the word change order. Change orders are to the original contract. But you just made clear to me a little while ago off record that this is, new work will not be a change order. New work will be a new contract.
Well, yeah, let me clarify on that. There have been change orders in place long before we ever came to this point of substantial completion. Those change orders were actually sent to us from the contractor, I think it was before the end of last year.
And have those been substantially completed? No. There were two, and I don't remember, I might have called Cody about that. He's more familiar with the project, serves as our project manager, but there were two of those change orders that have already been paid for by the city. And they were for small amounts, I believe $7,000 for the two of them. Let me back up again. We have got allowances in this contract. So the city, when they sign the contract with the contractor, those allowances were part of that contract. That total allowance amount is $50,000. Two of those change orders, number 1 and 2, were taken out of that allowance amount. So we have a remainder left. Either that money all comes back to you, the city, that remaining amount, or we can use part of that for, I don't remember how many change orders there are, another 3 or 4.
There was a total of 5.
Total of 5 that would fit within that allowance amount? 3 of them. Those would basically be no additional cost to the city. And again, these are legitimate change orders. The 3
additional costs, they're just costs that were in the allowance.
They're in the allowance, but we
The
list them
city's
as
still paying the allowance.
change orders, and it just becomes kind of a paper trail on how we handle all that. But we'll get all that, we can get all that clarified. The other 3 that we're listing as change orders, when I say those probably will be additional cost items, those deal with, as Sarah Lee mentioned, we've got HVAC, and what the contractor was asked to do as part of his contract is investigate how much damage was done to the HVAC unit, the overall electrical system, and the sound equipment. Those numbers came back as part of a report and assessment, and they are large amounts. They are very large amounts. If we get to that point, that's, a little later on, where we're gonna actually look at those, I think I would highly recommend to the city that you just do that on your own and not run those through this contractor. They would be separate contracts.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Did y'all got paid to do an assessment of the damage of the building, right?
We did do an assessment of the damage, yes, sir.
And how did y'all feel to not recognize the change orders that are about to come about after this job is complete for y'all to leave them out?
Well, the ones you're referring to, the sound equipment and those other things, we had our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineers look at those items, but without being more destructive or taking a significant a lot more time to do that.
But y'all were paid for it to take the time to be able to make sure. I'm just saying.
Well,
it really gets me upset for the fact that y'all got paid to do an assessment of the Civic Center, and then we're coming back because we didn't. Now you're saying we didn't take the time to actually go through the whole job itself.
Well, we did, but we're not electrical contractors, we're not, HVAC contractors, and to bring them on board would have been substantially more. What we were able to do as part of the contract with that contractor is have him bring on his subcontractors that were already gonna be doing work in that facility, and it enabled them to look at that more closely and give us a professional opinion of what all would be involved to give you basically a new system.
Yeah, and
for
right
all of
now,
those areas.
and right now, you're asking us to give you a clear tag saying you're completely done, even though you're not done, so the warranty can start?
Well, we're just trying to say that the building is occupied, and we want, the contractor to be released.
And he's 100% complete.
He still has some punch list items that he's working
Okay,
on.
so I believe that whenever he's 100% complete, you ought to get, go ahead and get the release for it. I'm just one of those type that I don't think somebody ought to get released from a job when it's not 100%, because they normally don't come back. You normally have issues after they've been released. I'm just saying.
Oh, yes, sir, I fully understand. And he will be on board. We've still got retainage, that will not be approved until all these punch list items are cleared. So you will hold that, and I will not approve that until, those punch list items are cleared up.
I think.
Any other questions?
What are the items that you're saying are gonna be of substantial amount? Obviously, he has a list back there, the 3 items. What are you talking, and what are the amounts that you're thinking? And would we go back to FEMA on these, Gary?
Yes, well, we are.
Which is
that's
the
one of
90-10?
That's one of the issues. FEMA has not approved these 3 yet, and before we move forward
We
with
didn't
them,
throw it in the same.
we have to make sure
Right,
FEMA is
they have to be
agreeing
in
to,
new
where's
contract.
Sandra?
That's
Sandra?
against me.
Sa- Those 3 items that we're referring to, FEMA has not approved yet, is my understanding.
I guess it's gonna be started separately.
Right, exactly.
Has not been written up by FEMA yet. We are being held up by these 3 items so that they could write the scope and the whole scope and cost of the project. So really, the contract that we approved, the RFP that we went out and got was like they said, for them to hire somebody to come in and tell us what is wrong with the HVAC
Everything.
and with the audio. They just gave us a report. That was what the scope of the contract was. Because obviously they didn't know the extent of the damage until they tore down the walls and all of that is how it was explained to me. That's how I understand. I don't know.
Really?
But,
I don't know, but we're waiting on those reports that they're gonna get in detail back. We already have the reports. FEMA already saw them. FEMA sent the reports back and said, I want the contractor to tie the damages of these items to the hurricane. So they've gone back to the contractor to rework those reports and tie them back as FEMA has requested. And that's where we are with the holdup right now.
and Sandra, they have not made that decision yet, so we're not certain. We want to make sure they're going to pay for it.
Correct.
Yeah, before
Okay.
we do
Before
those,
we
before we do that
That's why
change.
we haven't presented the change orders, because we don't know if they're gonna approve them or not at this point. So we can't come and say, yes, FEMA's gonna give us 90% of this money, when we're not sure. We know that they're gonna give us 90% of this contract,
Right.
but we don't know if they're gonna give us 90% of those other 3 change orders yet. So that's why we haven't brought them.
And the question is, how
I
come
need
they
to
missed the
clarify
first
this
one?
from a legal perspective. You keep using the word change orders,
Makes it a little hard to get the-
and that's what you,
It's not a change order.
It's not a
gonna-
change order, that's
At
correct.
the end of the day, because they're not part of the contract, they're gonna have to do a different contract.
That's correct.
Directly with the contractor.
right, that's why we don't call them change orders.
Correct.
Yes, and only because we missed it the first time around. Straight up.
So I'm gonna ask again, what are the 3 that you are gonna have to write a new contract on?
The first one was repair and replacement of the HVAC equipment, and this is mostly all the equipment that's currently on the roof.
The one you'd have to tear up the wall for.
Yes, and their report, does not indicate that there was anything storm-related to these. It was more a maintenance issue. And so that's one. Now, the other 2 are directly related to the storm. all the electrical work, assessment for those items, and then all the audio video. And a lot of the audio video equipment was not damaged, but the equipment that was damaged did inadvertently affect the other equipment that have to be upgraded because you can't get that equipment anymore that works with the same system. So that's why that was more costly than we anticipated.
And what did you say the amount that you have there you think is gonna be?
Well, on the HVAC equipment, it's been assessed at a little over $105,000. Then we've got the electrical work at $118,000, and then audio video is $122,000.
And you missed it even though the roof's torn up, the walls are missing, you missed it. Okay.
Smart enough. I'm sorry.
Okay, so what do we need to do
So
with
these are the
this?
three separate, that they'd be different altogether,
separate.
not even included in this right
That
here?
is-
Okay, okay.
That's
all right.
correct.
So for Mayor, may I, for further clarification, are there existing true change orders that have not been completed?
Yes, there are,
Let's see, no.
yeah, we've got lamp
Flagpole?
fixture replacements at the patio. Those had to be replaced because those fixtures weren't working. They had fallen off of the poles, and they couldn't reinstall them because they were damaged to the extent that they had to be replaced. The next one was there's an accent band around the building. We did not know that was glued to the building. It was supposed to be attached in a different method, but it was actually, once they went in and started doing the work, it was assessed that those had actually been glued on the building and they were starting to fall off. So it was suggested that they be replaced, and that's the other one. And that was for $5,400. And when they were replacing some of the light poles that were damaged during the hurricane, there's two light poles in the back that were structurally damaged that you couldn't see unless you went up and actually replaced that light and got a little closer view at it. But those were structurally damaged, so we had to replace those two poles. And that's it, prior to the allowance.
What was the cost for that?
That was $66.85.
$6,685?
Yes.
And then the flat fixture equipment was worth how much?
Well, the light fixtures were already in the project. It was just replacing the poles.
So are these change orders in the allowance, the $50,000 allowance, the original contract?
Yeah, with those change orders, added up to $31,870. So you're still within that $50,000 allowance.
What other change orders are you wanting to make to this current contract?
That would be it.
Yeah.
That would be all of it.
For a total of $31,870. So there would be an allowance balance of $18,130.
That should come back to the city.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what you're requesting today, Sarah, is for us to approve the certificate of substantial completion just based on those three things, the flagpole and things that still need to be completed?
Well, the punch list that we were looking at in the contract with we have with the contract with the original contract.
This punch list.
Okay, well, let me ask this. So what's the reason why y'all want the substantial completion submitted before the actual job is totally and 100% complete?
Well, I think that you addressed that. It was for like, so because we're occupying the building, they want to kind of like say like, okay, we've done, here's your punch list, this is, use the building, we can use the building now, pretty much. Is that what it is?
Yes, Mayor,
Because-
this is fairly standard procedure for most building renovation projects. When they've fulfilled the majority of the contract and then they're asking for the punch list, they're deeming that they're substantially complete, and we don't tell them that they're substantially complete until we actually perform the punch list check items. We then will typically include that with the request. So that's where we're at today. And as I stated,
they still have a substantial amount of money, that's being held by you, the city, in retainage. Every one of their pay applications, we withheld 5%, I believe. So they will not receive that until all the punch list items are done.
So us giving you all this, we can go ahead and officially start using the building.
Yes, sir.
In favor of the council? Any more questions? Okay, all right. So
Thank
it's
you,
in favor
guys.
of the council. Thank y'all. Let's see if we can get smarter one day.
Okay, I make a motion that we
I have
accept
another question. I'm
the issue that,
May I ask another question, Mayor?
Sure.
I'm looking over at the punch list and I'm not seeing the flag fixture equipment, the replacement of the accent band around the building, or the 2 light poles in the punch list. Am I missing something?
I
think the
understand the
two-
punch list is what they've completed, correct?
No,
No,
the
the
punch
punch
list
list
is
was
what's
stuff
left.
that was,
What's the-
Was that-
Part of the
Yes.
original
was
contract.
the original contract, was
Right.
the
That's
punch list
actually
that
what's
we
left. That-
Yeah, but the
that's what you
change order
create
is
at the
part of,
very end.
the change orders are part of the original contract in the allowance. So why aren't they on the punch list?
Well, no,
To be
ma'am. No,
performed?
ma'am, those are not.
Those are not.
Those are not part of the original contract. Those were something that came about during the construction process that we, as your representative, recommended.
And that's why it's a change order.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why it's a change order, because it's not originally in the starting contract. We found
Is it
this
the
out
same
after we started.
contract? Are the same contractors going to be doing the flag fixture?
Yes.
The band and the light poles?
Yes,
So on the punch list, on site number 6, that's the two light fixtures, correct? Light fixtures not installed on 2 existing light poles at rear parking
Yes.
lot, and it says change order, got a change order number there for the light fixtures.
So are we,
So,
So,
are you okay, Roxanne?
I've had my questions answered, sir.
oh, okay.
I haven't answered it.
No, I've got, thank you for letting me ask those questions. Thank you.
So we're okay with approving this? You as a city attorney are okay if we approve this?
I, as a city attorney, always want 100% completion before I approve anything, usually 150%. So I think it's your city engineer's responsibility to convince you that they are substantially completed.
so out of 100%, how much, is it 98% complete, 99% complete? I just ask.
Well, if you add the punch list, the contract, the original contract without change orders is gonna be complete once that punch list is complete. But it's really up to, you know, I
99%.
didn't, there's the 3 change orders that need to happen that were discovered, you know, and then there's some other things that aren't considered change orders that do need to happen. But as far as the original contract, but that's, I mean,
What's the time period to complete this punch list?
It's already
Give them
done.
an additional 30 days.
30 days.
For whatever it's
Being
worth,
convenient.
substantial completion is pretty standard.
It's
and
very
it happens
standard.
before the
But
project is completed. That's standard.
It's also a very important document when it comes to any contesting of litigation issues involving the construction and the repair of the building. So forgive me for being so strong with you on this, Mayor, but I want to make sure our city engineer understands how important it is that we do truly have substantial completion.
Well, and to answer your question before, I'm sorry, I'm stuck in the back here, but I would say if we had to give it a percentage of completion, that there would be 99%. The items that are listed on the punch list, even though there are several, they're very minor.
you make the motion?
She made a motion.
Well, I don't know if it went through because it was Roxanne interrupted.
I'm confused.
Say it
This-
again. Motion.
This has been talked so much, I don't know what we're talking about anymore.
I think you need to remake
I
the
know what we're
motion.
talking about.
Well, I make the motion that we accept the certificate of substantial completion submitted by L&B for the Aransas Pass Civic Center renovation project.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Okay.
I thought that was, I didn't. Okay, the next one I have for you is, an ordinance that Roxanne and I worked on, amending the rates. This has already come before you 2 times as a discussion item. The last time we left it, that y'all were in favor of raising the rates of the Civic Center 15%. So we wrote an ordinance, on that paper with 15% included, but then giving residents a 10% discount. And that's attached to the memo,
I read it.
if y'all read it. And I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
No, I think it was written exactly the way we all talked
And so
about.
if you go over one more,
You did
see
a
that-
nice job. Any questions? Well, then I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2019-4234, amending the Aransas Pass Code of Ordinances, Chapter 19.5, by adding Section 19.5-21, Civic Center rental rates and fees, use thereof, and providing an effective date.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank y'all.
Okay, now we're gonna go to development services.
Let me kick this off, Mr. Mayor, and council members. This is an item that came to you in the work session we referred to earlier. This is the third item from that work session. You'll recall that the council needs to approve moving forward with softball field lighting, and Mr. Pena was here during that discussion. But council needs to agree to move forward with that rather hefty expense of approximately $300,000, if I remember correctly. Again, that's a council issue. If you want to move forward with that, we can just do as Fernando pointed out during the meeting, we can just move forward with the RFP. That doesn't mean we're committed to that point. We're just getting an idea of what the cost will be. But wanted to point out the potential financial burden associated with that also. But if you want to move forward with this to find out a cost, it makes perfect sense, but that's up to you.
And again, the cost of the lighting is 90% reimbursable from FEMA.
That would be correct, yes.
Yes.
Will we get the funds back, right?
We get the funds back within hours.
Right.
And those are God hours.
God hours.
Maybe it's years, I don't know.
Your hours are different than our hours, right? Okay, okay. Okay, well, I make a motion that we approve the going out for the RFPs for the softball field lighting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item, I'll need some assistance from Mr. Bonner, Michael Bonner, but this is another item awarding the request for proposals for ball field bleachers. This is a 90% issue again through FEMA. That's what's before you to awarding the request for proposals for ball field bleachers. Michael, anything to add on that? Oh, okay, okay.
Well, I have a question. Okay.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, is this Little League and softball or just Little League?
Just Little League.
Oh.
This is for the Little League.
Oh, okay.
And why such a difference? The lowest bid is $83,676, and the highest bid is $163,719. What's the difference?
I'm not too sure.
About $80,000.
Yeah.
And they're all
Right,
made out of
I
the same
mean,
thing.
Exactly. Are we talking a different product, or, I mean, the RFPs that we went out for,
One of
I
them
would
has cushions and
assume.
the other one-
They were all uniform.
And seat backs and lounge chairs.
There you go.
Okay. I just thought that was
A big difference.
huge, so, okay.
Now, what is the time frame if we approve this tonight?
30 days.
30 days?
30 days.
will they be already installed when the season starts, or?
So I was able to speak to one of the contractors that did show up, and it is proposed that provided they can work around the Little League schedule,
Okay.
they should not have an issue installing him by opening day. However, if it does happen to go past, they will work with the Little League schedule as best as possible. That way there's no conflict going on.
Do you know when their opening days?
I believe it's March 23rd.
Oh, wow, okay.
Wow.
They're not gonna get it in time.
No, March 23rd is less than 30
But
days from now.
from my standpoint, the way it was presented to me is it's pretty straightforward. They order the bleachers, they show up, they build them and install them. The most excessive project to complete would be pouring concrete slabs to secure 2 of the bleachers to them, so that way they aren't blown around like they were last time.
Correct. Just a recommendation to work with the league, you know, the board, just to kind of see which would be the required fields that they would like for us to do first. You know, because I know there's one ballpark that they don't use. I would say the senior boys, the big field on the left, they don't use that as often as they do the other 2. So we can concentrate possibly on those 2, so at least the bleachers would be there.
Correct, and that's why we made it a point that they would work hand in hand with the Little League members to ensure that there is no conflict. If they're on the fields to the right, then they would be working on the fields to the left.
Good.
So there's no construction materials out there to harm any of the children.
Just have to be careful on that. Okay.
Any more questions?
Favor of the council?
I make a motion that we award the request for proposals for vaudeville bleachers to Division 16 for $83,676.
With no change orders.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This next item, Mr. Mayor and Council, is related to the work out at Con Brown Harbor. We went out for RFQ for the design work, and what you're seeing before you is a result of a committee that was set up, as is normally the case with an RFQ, as is required by the RFQ. 2 members of your body served on that committee, and there is a recommendation to move forward, if I hope I have the right one here, move forward with a recommendation that's listed there with a company. After reviewing all the different RFQ submittals, the recommendation before you is to go with the company that's listed there. Again, this is for the design work for the road, for the adjacent bike trail, and we'll be doing the overlay for the parking lot also. We anticipate that'll be a part of the design work also. So that's what's before you.
And when they do that design work, they're gonna kind of have a feel of how we would like the harbor to make sure the street is far away from the bulkhead to where.
Yes, and as we get into the design work, really would like to have you, Mr. Mayor, aware of as we move forward with that. So we'll be letting you know as that progresses.
Okay.
Well, I make a motion that we accept the request for qualifications submitted by, what is the
Dannenbaum.
motion? By Dannenbaum for the engineering services for Con Brown Harbor roadway project.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we're gonna go to public safety and
Yay.
you.
Mayor and Council, the first item on the agenda is the NIBRS grant. What this is the state of Texas has decided to transition from the Uniform Crime Reporting to the National Incident-Based Reporting System. As a result of the nationwide, they're going that way, but the state of Texas has offered a grant to help local police agencies transition from the UCR system to the NIBRS system. We have applied for the grant and been accepted for $80,000. Some of that money, the money can be used for software capabilities or for hardware to assist in the transition. We would like to use it for hardware, and the items that we are wanting to purchase are listed right there, totaling about $76,660. I do have our IT person, David Allfalter, here to answer any questions that you may have. This grant, we would spend the money first and then get reimbursed for it.
Okay, so we don't get the whole $80,000 and have that $3,339 to use for other.
No,
police
but I bet
departments.
he could come up with something.
We recently had a problem this week, and we could use that extra $3,000 to fill that need. There you go. Again, not to exceed the $80,000.
Okay.
So yeah, we only get reimbursed for what we spend.
I didn't see a time frame on this. Is there a time frame listed? when
There
we would get
was
the
90
equipment?
days, or?
We have to have the invoices submitted by April 1st. correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
I make a motion that we accept the $80,000 NIBRS NIBRS grant for hardware and technology for the police department.
Why you do it backwards?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you. Okay, the second item on the agenda is for an agreement with, a television access agreement with Flickr Productions. Flickr Productions and the BBC have reached out to Aransas Pass Police Department. They want to do a show called Dom on the Inside. It's where a host comes and follows our officers and animal control, dispatch, and our evidence tech for a day or two and ask a bunch of questions and show United Kingdom what it's like to be a police officer in Texas. In Aransas Pass. So, of course, we're super excited about this. Our officers are super excited. It does follow our mission of being transparent and providing that openness. We are, we as a police department are extremely transparent, especially compared to our neighboring communities. And I think that's what the public loves about us so much. And so we are all about it. We've had our attorney read through the contract, and everything appears to be good, and we're excited about it, and we hope that you guys will approve it as well.
Huey, I have an off-the-wall question. We had talked about getting a TV station with Cable One. Would this be able to, I don't know how close we are on that, would we be able to play it on also Cable One? So our,
BBC would have to approve that.
I mean, that would be
BBC is
kind of
a
cool.
private well, semi-private. But I would think they would allow us to do that once that is set up. So the answer is a tentative yes.
Okay.
Cool.
It'd be like Benny Hill.
They will also, I didn't mention this, as far as confidentiality, they will be riding with the officer. They will go home with the officer to see what home life is like. I mean, from start to finish, be with this officer. And we think we've identified Officer McCarty to do this. But for everybody that the officer encounters, they would also have confidentiality agreements signed with them, in order to not violate their privacy and be able to show them on TV.
Any time frame on this, or we're just kind of looking at it?
I want to say it's soon, but I don't see a time frame on here. I don't remember off the top of my head when it'll be. Oh, I'm sorry. It is. It's going to be really soon. Before April 6th.
Wow.
Very, very soon.
So is this going to be just one day, or is it going to be something that is just continuing?
No, they're going to film for a 24-hour period.
Okay, and that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Between March 4th and April 6th.
Is it BBC America or BBC United Kingdom that's going to be doing it?
It's BBC United Kingdom. Yes, BBC United Kingdom.
All right, well, I make a motion that we approve the city and police department to enter into an agreement with Flickr Productions Limited for the production of a television documentary of the Aransas Pass Police Department.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
crazy.
We'll be super excited to show you guys the final product.
Is Eric gonna do a song and dance in this one?
I don't know.
I'd like
Is
to
it part
see
of the requirement? Because I can have them do it.
Just make it a challenge.
He does a lot of fun stuff for us, but I don't know if he'll dance.
Just tell him I said he was scared.
Okay. The final thing that I have on the agenda is consider an act on approving the city to hold an online auction through Renee Bates Auctioneers. And it is to sell off old, broken, or no longer used city property and any remaining, and for you guys to agree on any remaining property that does not sell, we can properly dispose of it at that time. We have a whole list. I believe you guys have the list attached as well. There are a lot of vehicles, old tractors, computer equipment, water department equipment, or water meters, I guess. You name it, it's on here. So we're hoping we get a good chunk of money for this, but you know, we'll see. And then if not, we would like to be able to properly dispose of anything that does not sell. Renee Bates, we've utilized them for several years now, and they really like us. We've brought in quite a bit of money and on previous auctions, and so they are all about us coming back.
Okay. Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the auction for the police, citywide auction for the police, the equipment through Renee Bates Auctioneers to sell the off, old, broken, and no longer used city property, and any remaining to be disposed of property.
Great.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank
Do
you.
we have any city council or staff?
With council's permission, would like to update you on the Boyle order and where we are with that. A lot has been going on this weekend, and especially today, and toward the latter part of last week, as far as working on the this particular project, which is a huge inconvenience for the community, as well as everybody in this room. We had a meeting this morning and plan to take it from a multi-directional effort, taking it from several different directions. Went out there today, and we brought on, the county is now helping us, Aransas County is now helping us. We are bringing in contractors, they are helping us, and also we are tomorrow morning, and Michael Bonner can give you more details, but we're bringing in the Corpus Fire Department, I believe, who has a camera that has a drone on it, and then we can attach a thermal imaging piece of equipment so that we can see a broader area also. And the thermal imaging is important because of the difference in temperature between the water that's there now and the cold temperatures and what's going to be coming out of the pipe. So all of that is going on right now. And it's, as I indicated, repeating myself intentionally on this, it is very frustrating. We thought we had it located. It is not located, but we have it down to a very small area and where the leak is. And as you know, with a leak like that, that's going to lower water pressure in this instance certainly. Hence, TCEQ will say you have to have a water boil because of that lower pressure. We are hoping we can isolate it after we actually find the leak, and then we can temporarily, and we hope very briefly, cut off the area to the north of us and then release the rest of the town from the Boyle order. But I don't want to make that promise until we locate it and until we get a better picture of exactly where it is. So all those, the main point is there are a lot of things going on right now related to this. A lot of people in the field. It was crowded out there today at the site. Well, all the people I'm referring to. It'll be more crowded tomorrow. I appreciate Aransas County coming in to offer their help on this, and also as I indicated, the contractors are in the field also. Michael, I'm going to ask you to come forward and give some additional insight into what's going on out there, because it's an extremely important public issue.
Yeah,
Yeah, so water leaks alone are hard to handle, let alone trying to find them. A lot of people think water leak, oh, hey, look, there's water on the ground, the pipe's leaking. Well, imagine if you would a full body of water with a pipe 3 feet under silt and sand leaking, and then on top of that, a full 2-inch thick piece of vegetation as dense as your hand in front of your face. It's becoming a very hard task pinpointing and putting our finger on the exact location. We've tried multiple methods of locating. I have spoke with Fernando this afternoon. We're looking at getting even more additional resources starting tomorrow, possibly into Wednesday. I myself spoke to the Corpus Christi Fire Department. Like Gary was explaining, they do have a drone with a thermal imaging camera on it. Now, we did attempt to use our fire departments this morning, but it's a handheld device that you can only walk of, and you're 4 feet above the ground, so you have a very small aspect of what you're looking at. With the advantage of the drone, it takes you multiple feet up above where you can get a better sense of the water temperature all around. And with hopes of the weather permitting, we should be able to get a good aerial view and hopefully trace back, if you will, a warm water river back to its source, and we should be able to be more successful at pinpointing the location with this technology.
Would also like to point out that frequently questions questions will come to me saying, is it okay to spend these dollars for this? Is it okay to spend these dollars for that? And I'm saying, go for it. We'll figure out a way to pay for it. It's got to be done. And Michael's been very good about just moving forward, like the need for dump trucks. We were short of dump trucks to address the materials we're taking out of the ground right now. Short because one of the dump trucks is in the garage, I believe at least one. So I said, let's rent them, let's move forward and get it done. So I don't want to say we're sparing no expense. I don't want to say that. However, we're being very open-minded when it comes to the expense and getting this done as soon as possible. Anything else to add on?
One other thing Fernando brought to my attention later this afternoon was worst case scenario, the city of McAllen, if y'all do remember, were one of the surrounding people to come and help us in the relief after Harvey.
Right.
They have offered their assistance to come all the way up here to help us search for this leak if for some reason this technology of the drone and thermal imaging is unsuccessful.
Yeah, but it's safe to say that we're back up to pressure to where we're supposed to be, right?
Last word I had is that
No, not at the
So-
neighborhood.
Not at the very end?
So here in town we do have better pressure than City by the Sea, simply because we're on this side of the leak. However, I myself have met with TCQ, a gentleman by the name of Eric Lindgren. He has helped us through all situations that we've faced since Harvey, and unfortunately we cannot maintain the adequate pressure to City by the Sea because of the leak. So here in town, we may be able to run our facilities and whatnot. I mean, everybody's under the boil notice, but because of that leak, it is keeping the pressure from reaching City by the Sea to its best ability.
And also want to point out that if it's necessary to isolate a certain area, in the area City by the Sea, we're not going to do that until we actually have located the leak, so that if that is necessary, we can quickly repair the leak, so that will be a downtime as short as possible. Am I correct in?
Yes, that's
okay.
correct. So if we were to isolate City by the Sea right now, sure, the inner city would regain its full pressure, and then TCQ may allow us to lift the boil. However, if we cut off that pressure going to the leak, then it becomes even more difficult to locate that leak with no turbulence of water. So that's the reason we have to maintain doing it the way we're doing it right there, because best case scenario, if it shows us any type of turbulence or water debris floating around, then that gives us a better chance of locating it.
Okay, once we locate, like you said, pinpoint, I know this is a really rough estimate. Do you know how long it would take to repair? Will we know beforehand what we need to have on site to get the repairs done rather than having to wait? Well, we're gonna have to go, it's gonna come in a day or two and City by the Sea is without water for extended period of time.
Right, so we have already started gathering our resources that we need, that we believe we will need when we do discover the leak. In addition to, not only are we going to need excavation equipment, pipes, fittings that we can get from our local distributors. However, if it's for some reason an area where we cannot get the water on top of it, because as y'all all know, Highway 35 is just covered with water on either side of it. If we are unable to get rid of the water, we do have dive team services on standby that have given me the go-ahead to call them if and when we need them, that we'll be able to go underwater and fix the leak if we need to.
Okay, or how far are they from here? Are they in Corpus?
They're local, they're in Corpus. The
Okay.
company is In-Depth Dive Services. They're actually the dive service also that went out and worked on the Pelican Cove. Okay.
Okay, so they would be here within, say, an hour.
Yes, ma'am, and I asked him, I said, hey, just out of curiosity, how busy are y'all right now? He said, we're very slow right now, so if they need us, he said, just give them a call. He's already put pumps in place and already have his guys on standby, so if it does come to that, I make one phone call and they're en route to our site.
And hopefully we'll know if we're gonna have to go this route tomorrow after you use the drone, or?
Correct. So once we get the pinpoint location of it, then we'll be able to better assess if we can de-water the area. Now we have used a lot of services this afternoon getting dirt out there to create a natural coffer dam around it. And then we also have a pump already in place as well. So when it comes to that, if it's in that specific location, we can just throw the hoses in there and start excavating or de-watering the area.
We wanted to update you. That's the latest, and we will keep you updated, and we'll do the same thing on Facebook, update you, and as events warrant. So appreciate your patience and appreciate the patience of citizens on this. It's been extremely frustrating. So,
Are we allowed to share your update that you send us?
what I send you is going to go on Facebook, so
Okay, good.
absolutely, yes.
Now we're gonna go to citizen comments. Citizen comments are intended for the matter that are not scheduled on the agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and state your name and address for the record. Be advised that the Texas Open Meeting Act prohibits the city council from responding and discussing your comments. The law authorizes the following: make a statement of factual information, recite existing policies, advise that this subject may be placed on the agenda for a subsequent meeting.
I'll try not to take too long. Howard Gillespie, County Commissioner, San Patricio County, Precinct 4. Now, Mayor, you might have already gotten these. These are the drafts. I only made one copy of each. I got the opportunity to go to a meeting for Judge Krebs Friday for a little over 2 hours. That Todd Hunter had called, Representative Hunter. Judge Barbara Canales was there. The port chairman, Charlie Zahn, was there. J.M. Lozano was there. Mayor Scaro was there with her city manager. And after 2 hours and some minutes, we really didn't meet a consensus there. We want 2 additional port commissioners. They wanted us to make a committee that might report to the commission. We asked, and Wes Hoskins was there, our commissioner, and we asked if wouldn't that be of help with all the industry on this side to have our input? And Mr. Zahn said no. It was somewhat to the effect of, well, we really don't think you're smart enough to help us. So with that, we went back and we met with Chairman Lozano and Judge Krebs, and back at the EDC. Foster was also there too, but so after we talked for a little bit and got our people who are working for us in Austin on the phone, Chairman Lozano decided to submit a couple of bills. They got submitted about 10 minutes to 5. 5 p.m. that evening was the deadline. The first one, now a couple of these were Mr. Lozano's idea. I mean, he put these together because of previous interactions he had with the Port Commission back when Cheniere had their get-together for their first loadout. House Bill 2921 was submitted. Sunset of the port to begin in 2021 with subsequent sunset review every 12 years thereafter. That's where the state sunset committee reviews everything the port does, just like they do with TxDOT or any other state agency. I went under sunset review twice while I was with the department and determined that they're running correctly in the way they're supposed to. Then he submitted House Bill 2922, Ethics Reform Bill, modeled after Speaker Bonin's reform of the Port of Houston. So this has already been done in the Port of Houston. There is no real, I don't want to say there weren't any ethics over there, but they're not real stringent on what they do, Mr. Mayor. Then House Bill 2923, statutory name change from the Port of Corpus Christi Authority of Nueces County to the Port of Corpus Christi Authority of Nueces and San Patricio counties. Okay, because San Patricio is mentioned several times in the body of that document, but not in the title. He thought it should be in the title as well. Now we come to the ones that our coalition's been working on. With, it's the county, the cities in the east end of the county, here in San Patricio, and several of the industry partners who are helping us. And that is House Bill 2924, the remake of the port governance to include 3 commissioners, each from San Patricio County, Nueces County, and the city of Corpus Christi. Okay, so that would be 3, 3, and 3. Now, they had told us in the past that 9 was too many. It would be too burdensome to add 2 more commissioners to that. So then he decided we decided also add House Bill 2925, the remake of the port governance to include 2 commissioners from San Patricio County, 2 commissioners from Nueces County, and 3 from the city of Corpus Christi. So that would leave it at 7, but each county would have a fair amount. Now, Judge Canales was of the opinion that the number of commissioners on the Port Commission was determined by population size, and that since Corpus Christi and Nueces County had more population than we did over here, that they should have more members. Unfortunately, that is not in the law. And it took 3 times for me to get her to stop saying, well, you need to read the history. And I said, no, ma'am, I need to see the law. I said that 3 times to her before she stopped. So, needless to say, she didn't say goodbye to me when I left. Neither did Mr. Zahn, who slouched down and played a lot with his fingernails while he was looking very disdainful at us. So, Judge Canales said we had a wonderful commissioner in Commissioner Hoskins. Okay. But then I guess there was, Sean Strawbridge had a little different opinion when he talked to your mayor, and he can explain that to you another time. So we are going up to San Patricio County Days in Austin, and on Wednesday the 6th, same day the Alamo fell in 1836, so it should be a good day. Oh, by the way, the same night, Friday night evening before 5, Senator Zaffarini's staff also submitted the 2 bills of the remake of the commission, and this week they'll be submitting the others. Okay? Now, Representative Hunter has always been a chairman of something. He was chairman of calendars forever under Speaker Strauss. Well, as whether you know or don't know, the chairman of calendars is the hatchet man for the speaker. If he doesn't want something to go to the floor of the House, chairman of the calendars doesn't put it there. Okay? So you don't make a lot of friends when you're chairman of the calendars committee. And Representative Hunter had tried to become speaker. It didn't work. Well, Speaker Bonham happens to like Chairman Lozano a lot more than he likes Chairman Hunter, from what I can pick up. Okay? Not that he's told me that. It's just what I can feel. Chairman Lozano is now the chairman of the Environmental Committee, which oversees TCEQ, which all industry has to go through. when they're clearing things. So, and the last time he was chairman of higher education. He did a wonderful job there. He's fully on board with us in this, as is Senator Zaffarini. And we have our next little coalition meeting, I believe, is Friday at 3 p.m. So, and your mayor is a member of that coalition, as is your city manager, I believe. So, that's the news I have on that. Anyway, looks like an interesting legislative session for us.
Sweet.
And so we'll be, the more of us that can go up and speak on these, the two bills especially, the ones that change the number of the commissioners, that's the ones that our coalition's been working on. So the more of us that can show up at different times to speak for this, if we are truly for it, which I think we should be, because of the $32 billion worth of industry development. 28 billion of that, I believe, has been on this side of the bay. Okay. Also, there's a new steel plant that's going to probably be going in. We did the reinvestment zone, and we approved the tax abatement for them to go in along bypass 89 and 77, so they'll have dual rail access. They are an arc furnace type facility. They try to recycle as much as possible. They will they make roll sheet steel, they make rail, various things like that. For their employees, they provide up to $20,000 in scholarship funds for the employees' children, and I believe there's like a $5,000 a year bonus or something such for the employees also. And these are going to be, I got another thing on that, just a minute. See what we got here. Yeah, employee education grants of $20,000 plus per child for full-time employees. Employee education assistance of $5,000 per employee per year. Stock awards for eligible employees, retirement, profit sharing, medical, dental, vision, disability, etc. It's a 1.7 to 1.8 billion investment in flat roll steel manufacturing facilities, 600 new jobs, and then additional related construction jobs, and then whatever ancillary jobs come along for housing and for restaurants and things like that.
Where is that located? I know you gave me the.
Okay, if you're going out towards Sinton on, I guess it's 181, and you get on the bypass 89 and come around, right where 77 is. It's that whole area off to the north, kind of, I guess it's north or west of 89.
So
There's rail there right alongside of it, yes.
So that would be more on the Gregory side?
No, it's more on the far side of Sinton.
Okay.
Yeah, working more out towards Mathis, I believe, somewhere, but it'll help Sinton, Mathis, Odom, all that.
It's pretty much where the Welders Park is, right?
Where the what?
Yeah.
Welders Park?
Right around where the Welders Park is, yes, somewhere in that area there,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
okay?
Now I can-
But they're not gonna take the Welders Park now, okay? It's
Okay.
okay,
I
we
was gonna say,
still have
that'd
the
be a
park there
big-
for the rodeo and stuff, okay? So anyway, that's all I have. I know you can't ask any questions, you all know where I work, some of you know where I live, so, I mean, I'll be
Thank you.
driving up to Austin Wednesday morning early, so, okay?
Thank you, Howard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Chuck West, your Harbor Master Center employee. I want to thank Howard for that report when he talked about all those benefits, including profit sharing. And I'll ask my boss, city manager, to investigate a benefit program for employees that would include profit sharing.
Well, then.
How much you gonna owe the city, Jeff?
Yeah.
Right. Won't it be great when we get done dealing with disasters? If we ever get to that point, another one will happen.
Don't say that.
Don't say that.
Stop.
Somewhere. I mean, that's life. Unfortunately, life hit Alabama.
Yes, it did.
And Lee County took a terrible hit. That's very close to where my grandchildren live. I represent a volunteer organization that I'm heavily involved with called the 3 Percenters Original. In fact, I'm the region lead of that. I have 8 states and some 12,000 members in those 8 states. We're trying very hard to come up with a relief effort for Lee County. such as we received after Hurricane Harvey. Their needs are being met much more locally than us for the immediate needs of water and food and ice, those things. But the things that we found short as we suffered through Harvey, they're going to be short on. Things that ordinarily we just don't think about. You know, boy, we could put on a barbecue, but how many hundreds need baby formula and diapers and that kind of stuff? I'll be putting out some information in the local paper and see if we can get it out in the social media, asking for those that are so inclined to participate with donations. We'll move it as far as Louisiana. They'll move it as far as Georgia. They'll take it and get it to Alabama where it needs to go. The point of control is in Opelika, Alabama, at the First Christian Church there. I would appreciate the city's support and the support of any citizens so inclined, if they wish to donate goods or materials to head that direction. I don't know where to put it. Maybe we could put it in the mayor's back room or Gary's office or something, but we'll come out in a day or two with a location to accept donations and head to Alabama with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chuck, will you make a flyer on this so that we can post it and let everybody else know about it, please?
Yes, ma'am. We'll get flyers out. We'll get something in the newspaper, and we'll get it on all the social media that we can touch on.
Excellent, thank you.
Good evening. Can you hear me? I hope.
Yes.
Quite a few new faces since the last time I was up here. I'm Judy Velasek, and I live at 225 Port Royal in City by the Sea. I'm sure you expected to hear from some of us tonight. I am a commissioner for the Aransas County Navigation District. I'm a past president of our Homeowners Association, and I'm currently a director for the Citizens for Responsible Annexation. I did come tonight just to speak as an informal representative to ask what's going on with the water situation. I think you gave us a very good accounting of what's the most frustrating thing that we have had is lack of information, as you can imagine, and I understand that you all are working hard on trying to pinpoint that. I did, as I was coming in this evening, several of us saw people out, earlier today we saw employees out wading through that icy cold water and poking around trying to find, and we certainly appreciate those efforts very, very much. And after hearing tonight what's going on, I just want to say we really appreciate everything that you are doing. We understand this is a difficult situation. We're trying to keep a sense of humor about it. One very close friend told me yesterday, she said, you know, every time I go to the restroom and then by the time the toilet refills, it's time to go again. So, needless to say, we'll always be very happy when we have nice hot showers and full commodes. And we do appreciate all the effort that you're doing. We do really urge you to do it as quickly as possible.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
And you know how to get the information because he does post it on Facebook.
On the
City of Aransas
City of
Pass.
Aransas Pass.
And the police department too, right?
And the police
We've been
department.
following on the police department.
So all the
And
updates
then
will
also
be
Jack
there.
Cheney's kept us informed also.
It's also on the
We
website.
appreciate that, Jack, very much so.
Ma'am, it's also on the website too, the city
Okay.
website.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know. Jack Cheney, Aransas County Commissioner, Precinct 1 and 1A, north end of the wonderful city of Aransas Pass. I just want to make a real quick comment. I've been in city management, as you all know, and I've chased water leaks and everything. I want to tell you folks, I never chased a water leak that was under 640 acres of solid water 6 to 8 foot deep. It's like trying to find a marble at the bottom of a trench full of marbles. I have never seen a water leak that manifested itself straight up. Primarily those things manifest themselves straight down or in the lower quadrants, because that's they don't get so much abrasion from the topsoil as much as they do from the ground soil, or the soil underneath. I followed this. Gary has kept me informed, as has just the general Public Works Department. We offer our services. I think they were gracious enough to take us up on what we can do to help them. I think we got a traco out there now.
Yes, you do.
And we're here to help you. But Judy has, the City by the Sea is being very gracious about this. There's not a lot that they can do about it, and they understand that and everything. But the leaders like Judy that come up and come to these meetings and everything, they truly are looking at what's for the best for their community. I think that they've used proper and approved methods by which to locate this thing, but you cannot locate a marble without special equipment if it's in a valley with nothing but marbles. It's clear. It's probably going down. I bet they're going to find it at about somewhere probably at about 67 degrees, one way or the other. When it's going to be shooting down. That's the reason why I'm not seeing it come up. But they've used what they could. The drone is a good idea. I had not thought about that, about thermal imaging. That is a good idea. But we're here to help. And as always, please call on me if there's anything I can do for you. I enjoy being y'all's commissioner, and I enjoy working with Howard. Howard has been a bright spot. You know, not always, but Howard, for the most part, is you know, he doesn't sit out there at the airport with his private Lear jet out there just flying to and from Monte Carlo. I mean, he actually gets out and he works hard for you. And as a commissioner, that's a very bad example. Very bad example. But again, we're here for you. I do think that they have some good people that are on board for that, and a couple of kids that I taught in high school are out there. One was out there flagging this morning or this afternoon, and they had dirt being hauled and everything, and they've used a good scientific analysis of project of how to find it, because you know, Aransas Pass, 1886, wasn't it something like that whenever it was founded?
1890.
Huh?
1890.
1890. Yeah, I knew some. That's, you know. Remember, Billy and I, we were around then, and the mayor.
He said it, I didn't this time.
And the mayor was serving us food, but anyway, the bottom line is they've got a good approach. I just ask everybody to be patient with them. They are working very hard. They're not sloughing off, and they've been at all hands on deck. And if we can help you, let us know.
Thank you.
Anybody else? ¿Alguien más?
Mary Gunn, over on West Wheeler Avenue. Just a real quick, as a mom with boys doing their baseball stuff, thank you so much for helping out with our Little League this year. I'm not on the board or none of that. I'm just coming as a mom. Having 3 working scoreboards finally is going to be fantastic for those kids, because as you know, we've only had one, and last year we didn't have it because Harvey was gracious enough to take it. So, and now to see that we're going to have new stands, after seeing what Rockport has, and then now knowing we'll have something nice again. Hopefully people don't tear them up. But thank you so much for taking an interest in our kids, because they are our future of our city if we can show the interest to keep them around.
Yep.
It means a lot to me as a mom. So,
I think that's
thank you.
one of our common goals as a council is trying to
Keep our local talent.
keep our
And we
kids
have
here.
a lot
Yeah.
that's coming up.
Mhm.
So thank you so much for taking an interest in our kids.
Really shiny lights.
Thank you.
Nice and bright lights. Anybody else? Okay, now we're gonna go into closed session for section 551.074 to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, of dismissal of a public officer or employment. Municipal court judge in Meriden. City secretary. There we go. Looking so forward to this. We're smarter than what they think on this side of the bridge. Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Bueno.
Billy?
Here we go. Let me just start.
We back in session yet?
We're gonna reconvene open session at 8:43 PM.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion, we reappoint Henry Morales, municipal court judge for a period of 2 years.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
No.
No?
Don't we need to do Mary?
No,
No?
no, no, no.
Okay.
No action?
Orale.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. I didn't make sure. You still got.